Hello, and welcome back to Midweek Encouragement. Hey, I've often said that show me who you run with, and I'll show you what you become. It's also said that we are the average of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. Now, take into consideration if you spend time watching television or screen time, that is somebody you're spending time with. And um, maybe that's not so healthy. And why do we call them smartphones when they're not making us any smarter? We just kind of realize we're not as smart as we think we are. When I was a teenager, I visited a farm, and the farmer sent his son and I to go jack up the manure spreader. I didn't even know those things existed until then, and went over, and I wasn't familiar with the jack. Now remember, I'm a teenager. Um, I think I'm smarter than I really am then and now. And I couldn't get it. We couldn't figure out how to operate the jack, how to jack up the manure spreader so the tractor could be hooked to it. And the farmer comes along, slips the jack in, jacks it up in no time, and then he says something I will never forget. You just have to be smarter than what you're working against. You just have to be smarter than what you're working against. And then he says, the manure spreader is the only piece of equipment John Deere will not stand behind. If we're the average of the 5 people that we spend the most time with, I also think that we're the sum about what we think about the most. Or show me what the person thinks about, and I'll show you the person. We are shaped by the company and the thoughts that we have. And I think that's why Paul wrote in Colossians 3:2, set your mind on things above, not on earthly things. And then he also wrote, take every thought captive and make it obedient to Christ. Every day we're faced with a decision of what we set our minds to. And this decision is something that we ought to do before we even get out of bed so that we don't become manure spreaders. And I think this is setting the direction of our mind because direction, not intention, determines destination. There are going to be things that happen throughout your day that are going to distract you or show you what you have set your mind on. Recently, I was driving down the interstate highway and cruising along, doing just a mile or two over the speed limit. I needed to pass some trucks as we're going up a hill. And I get into the passing lane and I'm going a little faster than the speed limit, but a car behind me starts flashing his headlights, signaling, you're not going as fast as I want you to. I get around the truck, turn on my turn signal, get safely over, and that vehicle passes me. But they roll down their window. The lady sticks out her arm, lowers her dignity, and says, you're number one. But I think she used the wrong finger. It was only by the power of the Holy Spirit that I was reminded of my verse for that day, which was Colossians 3:2. Set your mind on things above. Because in my mind, I was thinking of all sorts of dirty deeds done dirt cheap that could have been done to them. I even thought, now wouldn't it be interesting if they got a flat tire down the road and I pulled over to help them? I wouldn't have used the time in the right manner. God kept reminding me over and over, set your mind on things above. What are you thinking about? And we might want to remind ourselves that in driving, our destination isn't going anyplace. We don't need to try to beat the estimated time of arrival that our GPS has told us we would have, or our destination. It's going to be there when we get there. We might maybe want to leave a little bit earlier or spend less time at the last rest stop. How can we set our mind on things above? I believe that we need to start our day at that place, setting our mind on things above, not ending our day that way. So how do we do that? Be grateful. There's a difference between being thankful and being grateful. Thankful is temporary. Gratefulness is deep and long-lasting. Be grateful for what God has been doing, what He's done, what He's going to do in your life. Be grateful for all that God has given you. I hear a lot of people quote or see in a lot of signs Philippians 4:13, which says, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. But if we're going to quote that and we're going to claim that as our favorite verse in the Bible, we better look back. Because just before that, Paul, while sitting in prison, his future is not looking too good. He says, I've learned the secret of being content. Whether well fed or well hungry, I've learned to be content in all circumstance. Content or discontent, which tent do you live in? And I think to be content, we need to learn to be grateful in all things, to all people, all the time. God hears our prayers. He hears all of them. But it is our gratitude that clears the way to his heart. What could you do to make gratitude towards God an hourly practice? Or what are a dozen things that you are grateful for? One an hour, and then repeat. This is a setting our mind on the right course of the day. So let us set our mind on things above, so our old self doesn't come back.